Hello there, welcome to the world of Pokemon. Welcome to the Battle Science Podcast, a Pokemon GO PvP podcast where we talk about Pokemon GO and all things related to Pokemon GO PvP. I am one of your hosts, Steven, aka aBoyInTheWoods, joined as always by Jesse, aka RocketAdminJ. Getting the slurp in. Don't forget to hydrate. It is August 24th, 2021. We are in the... Technically, this current Silph Arena season hasn't completed because the finals aren't over, but for all of the rest of us that didn't make it into... What are they in now? Worlds?
Sounds right.
Something like... Yeah, and they're going into the Worlds tournament. The season's over. And we'll resume in theoretically October, like it has before. No announcement officially yet. But we are in late August. We're in a really odd spot in the game, if you didn't already know, I would say. So, waiting on Niantic's response to the Hear Us Niantic. The... What was it?
GBL Season 9 announcement.
Yep. The next seasonal announcement... This current season has a week and change or so left.
Yeah.
So we're in a nice lull. I wouldn't surprise me if tomorrow we just get all of the info. such as recording a podcast on Tuesday and having it go public for podcast services on a Friday. It happens. It's to be expected. You know what's not expected?
Patreon supporters.
Our Patreon producers. Thank you to our Patreon producers for the month of August: Dolphin93, Evo Stevo, Winston the Champ, and Jamar. You can become a Patreon producer by going to patreon.com/battlescience and backing us at the $5 tier or higher. Get your name shouted out at the beginning of every episode, every podcast that we have for that month. The other thing you can get by backing us at $1 or more on Patreon is the Battle Science After Dark podcast. That is a no-holds-barred, all-language available. If you didn't already recognize, the Battle Science podcast itself is family-friendly. Battle Science After Dark is not so family-friendly, where we talk about whatever strikes our fancy, be it angry emotions to Pokemon GO. In the last episode, we talked about Dungeons and Dragons. God, we gushed about Dungeons and Dragons. It was wonderful. And we talked about something else last episode, and I don't remember what.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the night before the Pokemon Presents. So we talked about sort of our expectations for the Pokemon Presents. Spoilers! We didn't get Pokemon Pinball, and I'm kind of okay with that.
So I started playing the Pokemon Pinball from the original Game Boy because you made me remember how much fun it was.
Uh-huh.
I played for about an hour and then remembered why I quit playing it.
Why did you quit playing it?
Bad response time on the flippers.
Oh, yeah, I imagine it's not super fantastic.
I almost wanted to throw my phone.
Ooh, don't do that. Don't do that. No,
I was
no,
like,
no,
that's
no,
right.
no, don't do that.
My family hated me playing this game because I would rage.
Well, I don't know where I was going with that. We have a show for you. Now, Battle Science is primarily a podcast. Most of our listeners are podcast listeners. Of all of the episodes, for you to go over to youtube.com/ the link is in the description because we're 50 subscribers, guys. We can get to 100.
Do it.
$15 I have to donate to Extra Life. We can make that 65. We need 50 more subscribers on YouTube. to get youtube.com/battlescience. It'd be so much easier to link out to the Battle Science YouTube. But of all of the episodes for you to go to youtube.com to Battle Science's YouTube channel and watch, I would say this is the episode. We have this week our Pokemon Go 101 or Pokemon Go PvP 101. We have a PowerPoint presentation. It's technically not PowerPoint, it's a Google Slides. But we have a presentation to go over to help us break down as much information. This episode is going to be primarily the before a battle, the core mechanics of battling, and your timers and your strategies while in battle will be next episode. Now, what we're probably going to do is a little bonus episode next week. So we'll have podcast episode this week rather than a break, podcast episode next week, and then rather than a break, our regularly scheduled podcast the week after. Because the week after is going to be the beginning of September, and it's going to be wild.
We should have a little bit more information and news than what we currently have for this episode.
Yes. Because this episode, we'll have a news roundup. It's one article. And if you're watching the video, you know exactly what it is. But we'll get to that in a moment. Patreon, you can hit us up on Twitter, battle_science. Email us battlescience.podcast@gmail.com, etc. Reach out to us over on the Discord. All that fun stuff. Did I mention to you that I have I already have the community question
for this coming week?
For this episode. This episode I have a community question.
Okay.
That will then cover not next week, but the week after in our next regularly scheduled Battle Science podcast. Do it. Alrighty, let's quit delaying. Get to playing.
That's good.
Giddy up now. This is the news roundup.
The one and only news story we have for this episode, because somehow we have like nothing. Not that we don't have anything to talk about. We could have gone into the new factions meta that was announced.
But neither myself or I are doing factions, and if we were going to talk about factions, we'd want to pull people that have been playing on it.
We'll get to all of that later. But yes, you are correct. The only piece of news we have is September's Community Day. So not August, September 19th, I think?
It's a Sunday.
Sunday, September 19th, 2021. Your local time from 11 to 5 p.m., so the double length. Even though the COVID bonuses are gone, asterisk, at least for the end of August, we have no idea what Niantic's doing. The double length community days look like they are going to continue. September Community Day. Oshawott, watch out. The Sea Otter Pokemon Oshawott will be featured. Surprise! It's the water type starter from
Gen 5?
Yes. Unova. Is it Gen 5? Yep. Trainers, we're excited to announce that Oshawott, the Sea Otter Pokemon, will be featured during September's Community Day event. Features: Oshawott will be appearing more frequently in the wild. It will also be attracted to rainy lure modules. Wait, hold on. If you're lucky, you might encounter a shiny Oshawott. So does that mean if like regular lure modules will just be whatever random spawns?
I imagine there'll be a pool.
And then rainy lure modules are just Oshawott?
Is that what does it say? Just Oshawott?
It will. Oshawott will be appearing more frequently in the wild. It will also be attracted to rainy lure modules.
So that just means they added it to the spawn pool.
Cool.
Is what I'm reading.
Interesting. If you're lucky, you might encounter a shiny Oshawott. If you play for about an hour and shiny check, you will find a shiny Oshawott. You don't have to be lucky.
Don't go buy a lotto ticket.
Evolve Duat, Oshawott's evolution. During the event, or up to 2 hours afterwards to get a Samurott that knows the charge attack Hydro Cannon.
Surprise!
Who would have guessed? Samurott will now be able to learn the charge attack Razor Shell. This attack will be available for Samurott to learn even after the event has concluded.
No stats are yet released.
No.
As of this recording.
This is kind of an oddly generic statement of Samurott will now be able to learn the charge attack Razor Shell. So this is like now? Is it now as in when the community day starts? I'm confused. Take a few snapshots during Community Day for a surprise. There will be special one-time purchase Community Day box available for 1,280 Pokecoins, featuring 50 Ultra Balls, 5 Lucky Eggs, 5 Rainy Lure Modules, and an Elite Fast TM. Dang, that's a lot of Rainy Lure Modules. That makes me think that it's only available in Rainy Lure Modules and not regular Lure Modules.
We'll see.
We'll have to wait and see what Australia says. I'm sorry, Australia. Or we'll get it data mined ahead of time. Maybe, probably. You'll be able to get Oshawott-inspired stickers by spinning Pokestops, opening gifts, and purchasing them from the in-game shop. Man, I hope they're adorable. They probably will be. For $1 US or the equivalent pricing tier in your local currency, you'll be able to access the Oshawott Community Day exclusive special research story from Scalchops to Scimitars. There's a pun there, and it's a little rough. That one's a little rough. This special research will include a Rainy Lure module as one of its rewards. Wow, they really like the Rainy Lure modules here, don't they?
I get the feeling that people aren't buying them.
I wonder why. Maybe because their spawn pool has been the same ever since they were released, and it's okay.
Shrugs.
Yep. Stay tuned for when tickets for the From Scalchops to Scimitar special research story goes live. Tickets are non-refundable, subject to applicable law and exceptions set forth in the terms of service. Please note that the special research will not include an in-game medal. Yay. Bonuses: 3 times catch XP. Incense activated during the event will last for 3 hours. Lure modules activated during the event will last for 3 hours. Yes. Please be aware of your surroundings and follow the guidelines of local health authorities when playing Pokemon Go. Upcoming events are subject to change. Be sure to follow us on social media, opt into receiving push notifications, and subscribe to our emails to stay updated for the latest on in-game events and feature updates. Be sure to check this Help Center article, the Pokemon Go team. You put a comment there. It's the Pokemon Go team. Yeah. I'm not surprised. I don't know. I'm also
underwhelming of a community day. I mean, it's one that everybody just knows coming, but at the same time, it's an interesting debate because Hydro Cannon is one of these staple water type moves as far as charge moves go. We have no information on Razor Shell, and for it to be running double water over its other potential moves is kind of
Yeah, because it's got Mega Horn, which is a bug type move.
Which hits a lot of things really well.
Yeah. Especially grass.
Yeah.
Which is its main counter.
Yeah.
It has Fury Cutter as a fast move, which I think is the primary fast move.
Yeah.
Because it's got a faster charge.
I believe so. I haven't paid too much attention to it, to be honest.
And allows for some pretty good coverage. So, yeah. I mean, I'm excited because Oshawott is adorable, and I picked Oshawott when I played Pokemon Black and White. So,
okay.
I mean, I'm excited. So, but yeah, its performance is, it's I think a little bit too attack weighted.
Yeah.
Samurott to be like the premier water type.
Great League
So
and Ultra, it's outshined by Swampert, which most waters do.
Yep. I don't think we'll see a water type starter that will outshine Swampert.
And Empoleon is still a better option than Samurott and Ultra.
Yeah.
So, not much it's going to benefit. If it's going to play in a cup setting, it'll be an incredibly niche one at best. So, It's triple XP for catch, so that's a good excuse if you're trying to grind XP to maybe grab a couple lucky eggs or save up some for that event. And even then, if you don't want to really hunt for Oshawott, because you said it's 3-hour incense, or
Yes.
is it just 3-hour lures?
Both.
I don't know if they'll fix it, like for EV Community Day. The second half of EV Community Day, we had someone in our group pop a Meltan box. It only worked for an hour, but there's a chance it could bug. And if it works for 3 hours, that's 3 hours of Meltan. If it only works for 1 hour, you still get the catch experience either way. So that might be one of the first community days I throw a Meltan box on. This coming from someone who's already got their level 50 medal.
Wow. You have the hundo?
Yeah.
Okay. Hundo level 50?
Yeah.
You working on Best Buddy then?
I already have it.
Oh. Well, look at you.
I'm very efficient when it comes to Meltan boxes.
Oh, I'm more thinking of Best Buddies, but yeah, that too.
So my 3 level 50s that I did for the research were Melmetal, Gyarados, and Machamp.
Oh, right. Because you need... Do you need to get to Best Buddies?
No.
You just have to have... you just have to have... Oh, no. Okay, I'm thinking of the wrong... I'm thinking of something else. To get to level 50, you have to get Pokemon to level 50.
Yes.
to
There's one that
up.
used to be a lot more, but they reduced it down to 3.
What did it used to be? Like 5?
7.
Ew. Why 7? Why not 6? Like a squad from the main team.
That would make too much sense.
It would make too much
But
sense.
with how difficult it is to get XLs outside of community day spawns or Metal, and for an example, I think Melmetal's the give me one.
Oh yeah, it's so easy. It's a guaranteed 3 XL candy per catch. You can get a Meltan box every 3 days.
Yep.
And it spawns every 30 seconds.
Yeah, so you can get those fairly easy. That is granted you know how to get a box.
Yeah, which, I mean, if you have the Pokemon Home app, I'm sure there's tutorials on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
so
for sure. But Oshawott Community Day, you're hoping you're not working, but you said there's more of a likely a chance you will be.
It's a weekend. It is a weekend. It's also a Sunday, which is usually one of the days my buddy has off already. So, yeah, if anything, if I'm getting any time off in September, it's going to be weekdays because that's when the manager works already. Yeah. And me as the assistant manager, I can have that time off and he can be working all days because we actually sort of trade off. He works mornings, I work afternoons. So we'll see. Who knows?
Yep. But Oshawott, Samurot's an interesting shiny. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, go ahead.
It's sick.
I want to say it's like dark blue.
Yes.
From memory, I didn't pay too much attention because it's like, it's just meh.
Samurott shampoo.
It's like a navy, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and then its horn is like orange.
I would liken it to a bronze.
Okay.
There we go.
Samurott is...
Oh, that's a YouTube video.
also one of the options for the new Arceus game. Or Oshawott.
Yes.
So good PR move on their part to put it out this month.
I mean...
After the announcement.
Maybe they thought that far ahead. I don't know.
Let's not give too much credit.
Yeah. I mean, in this article, it's not like to celebrate. Because if they did, for like the Arceus thing, it would be... I would have figured it'd be August, and then they would have also said, oh, here's a Cyndaquil, Oshawott, and... What was the third one? Is it
Rowlet?
Rowlet.
The one we don't have yet.
Do you think we get that in January then? With Arceus? Or January, February, or whenever it's coming out? We get an event, and then the 3 starters are spawning in the wild.
If we don't get the Alolan starters by the end of January next year, then it's a summer event.
Okay.
Because with Alola, I think Hawaii, I think beaches. Of course, winter for us is summer for other places.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
Pure speculation on our part.
Yeah.
Spotlight hour is over. I can close the game.
Did you get your squab yet?
Ooh, I caught them.
Sorry.
I caught some.
Caught some?
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. I did the thing. We've been there. We've done that. We've gotten some candy. That's funny.
Steven's doom scrolling in the middle of the podcast.
Sorry. Funny jokes about the NFL license, NFL video game license that I guess EA might be losing, which is like E, which is fine. This is fine.
Is it time for our special presentation?
Welcome to a special presentation. I'm trying to do like the Disney VHS.
Welcome to a Battle Science podcast production.
You get the weird motion graphic thing. Trailers for movies coming soon on the VHSs, and you're like, I hate this. I wish I could step into the future and have a button that I could instantly skip these. Those are jokes. Okay. We certainly do have a thing to do. Let me hit some buttons and make sure
nothing breaks.
There we go. Voila. Okay, this is probably the reason you're here. If you don't know about Pokemon Go PvP, this is part 1, theoretically, of 2 parts of what I'm calling the preseason primer. Because
this is a project you've had in the works for quite a while.
I wanted to do something like this last year for last year's Silph Arena. And this is for average listeners of the Battle Science podcast. I'm sorry. You're probably going to tune out here, and that's okay. Or you'll put this on in the background. You'll either turn off the pause the podcast, never come back, or you'll tune us out here and you'll never come back. Or you'll tune us out, you'll be doing stuff around the house, you'll be talking to your kids.
You missed a spot.
We'll just be on in the background talking about things you already know. Maybe there'll be a couple of nuggets of information that you don't know. But we're here presenting this today, one, because there's literally no other information to go over. We somehow timed this incredibly well with basically no news to cover in the world of Pokemon Go, but also to bring a little bit more of a hopefully reasonable intro into Pokemon Go PvP. So this is what I'm calling the 2021 Preseason Primer, or the 2021 Silph Arena Preseason Primer. This is before we get into the next season of the Silph Arena. Anyone that's interested in participating in PvP, especially into Silph Arena's PvP, this is for you.
This is more or less our tool of introduction for anybody that has never done PvP or has done the Rockets and you want to learn how to be a little bit better, or if you're one of those people like a couple of our senior citizens in our Pokemon Go group and our local group that don't know how to PvP and get very frustrated when they don't win in certain matchups or scenarios. Here's why.
When you say senior citizens, I feel offended for them.
I don't.
Let me hydrate. Hold on.
So this is more or less an introduction. It's going to be...
It's in 2 parts.
Yep.
So this episode is basically all prep. This is before the battle. So this is like the basics. Maybe you've played Pokemon Go before. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've played a couple of rounds in Go Battle League. Maybe you haven't. This is the base information before going into Pokemon Go PvP.
We're here to help you set up and learn how to.
The next episode will be the battle mechanics and strategy. So we'll start next episode with basically breaking down the very beginning of a battle, your resources, your timers, etc. And then strategy like third shield and charge move priority and things that if you're new to Pokemon Go or Pokemon Go PvP are going right over your head right now. And that's okay. We're here to help.
This is also a way for us to show you the pros and cons, more or less, of PvP.
Mm-hmm. If you're confused, you have questions. If someone's watching in Twitter or on Twitch live and has questions, wants to point out a grammatical error, or has additional information you want to point out, do feel free to. If you have questions after the fact, please feel free to ask via all of the links in which we shared before. So Twitch, Twitter, Discord, email, all of that stuff. Snail mail is unfortunately not available. We don't have a P.O. box. That stuff's expensive.
Yeah.
Maybe someday. But do feel free to ask questions. We can refine this for next year's preseason primer. This episode and the next episode are basically every podcast from here on till we do it again is in housekeeping, I'm going to refer back to this episode. If you are listening to the Battle Science podcast, somehow you stumbled upon us and you want to know more about Pokemon Go PvP, you'll turn back into this episode to know more. So we've rattled on about what this episode is going to be. Let's actually talk about Pokemon Go PvP. And Silph Arena Season 4, correct?
Oh, that was the other thing I was going to point out. Not only are we in between Silph Arena Season 4, we're also between our GBL Season 9.
Yes, that's true.
So this is a great way to learn how to play PvP before either of those start.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Slide 1. This was is PvP right for me? Now, if you take that literally, is it right for me, Steven? It's okay. It's okay for me, outside looking in. Is it right for you, listener, Timmy, Alex,
and this was
Sarah?
This was one of the
right
core foundations of what we built this series on, because we have locals in our group that said, I don't really understand PvP. Should I be concerned about it? Should be something I put time into.
That it begs. So Pokemon Go is open-ended.
Yeah,
a lot of games are, I would say, but Pokemon Go, like many games, is open-ended in that you don't have to play PvP. There are plenty of people that are questioning, is PvP good? There's people that have salty natures that are like, oh, all of these community days are PvP focused. They're not me focused or whatever. Is PvP within Pokemon Go right for you? So if you enjoy competitive play, you want an activity within Pokemon Go that is more than waiting a whole lot in a raid timer in a raid lobby and tapping, which, I mean, if you boil it down, PvP is a lot like that, but not like that. If you want to engage with the community more, if you want additional rewards and exclusive rewards, if you want a better way to showcase your collection of Pokemon other than staying in your box and looking at them and having fond memories.
And throwing them in gyms.
And, well, then if you like any combination of those, PvP might be right for you. So it's not for everyone. You might play a bit of it, not find it enjoyable. Leave. That's okay. But if you are interested in it, we'll get into how to better enjoy it.
I guess at this point, if it's not for you, we thank you for your time.
You have, there's plenty of other things to go do. You can pause this episode and never come back to it. That's okay. I don't know why, but it's like you can pause this episode and leave and never come back to it. And for whatever reason, I'm thinking of like Michael Jordan from The Last Dance, and I took personal offense to that. Hey, I loved your podcast. I stopped listening and never came back to it, and I took personal offense to that.
Jeez.
I proceeded to dominate them on the basketball court and putting up 56 points and 20 rebounds. So, if you're hearing us talk about Go Battle League, GBL, within Pokemon Go, and then are maybe questioning what is Silph Arena, this thing that we're referring to, let's break it down for you. Go Battle League is within Pokemon Go. It is Niantic run. It is you putting together a team of 3 Pokemon. I said 3. I did 4 fingers.
I saw.
Yep. A team of 3. You don't know who you're going up against, and thus it's referred to as blind. It's blind teams. Pick 3. They have brief metas that usually last a week or 2 within each season. Each Go Battle League season correlates with the overall season within Pokemon Go. At least now that's the case. It wasn't always. Let's see. They're remote battles, so you can play them anywhere you have any network connection, be it good or bad. Thus the joking name GBL Go Battle Lag. Anywhere you have a okay network connection, you can play a battle, which also might mean you have a bad experience with your lag desynchronizing.
So for those who are not
issues.
familiar with what lag is, it's when you go to use a charge move and you're tapping your screen furiously and somehow you die.
Well, and nothing happens. Or if you're tapping the screen and literally nothing is happening. Sometimes it's
an example of lag or desync.
Yeah. If you want to, go to Twitter, look up Go Battle Lag. There's somebody that's running that Twitter account, and it is humorous, at least. At least. Let's see. Go Battle League also has exclusive poses as end of season rewards. It has item and encounter rewards for the end of your sets. Now your sets are 5 battles against different opponents. You have 5 sets a day, so 5 sets of 5 battles. Generally speaking, Go Battle Nights, you have 100 battles total, so 25 sets. The other thing that Go Battle League does is it rotates between your basically Pokemon level leagues. So you have your Great League, which is 1500 CP, Ultra League, which is 2500 CP, and Master League, which is an unlimited CP. And we'll get into what CP is here in the next couple of slides. But basically that is 1500 Great League, which is a lot more Pokemon eligible, which means you'll encounter a lot of different things, and is generally cheaper to run as far as your overall cost of resources. Ultra is a bit more expensive, and Master League is generally occupied with a lot of legendaries, a lot of raid Pokemon, because you're looking for 100% Pokemon, maxed out stats, maxed out levels, all of that stuff. And again,
so
we'll get
if you're
into that
someone
stuff
that raids
later.
frequently
Master
and you're
League.
looking to transition into PvP, Master League is probably a good spot. But that's limited to GBL.
Yes, Go Battle League. Let's see. And again, those have 3-month-long seasons. So every 3 months, Niantic will rotate the seasonal theme. I think this season was not Explorers.
Discovery.
Was it Discovery or was it Season of Legends?
That was the one prior.
So Season of Legends, Season of Discovery. We'll see what this next season is.
Beginning of September.
Season of Brilliant Shining. I don't know. It might tie in with the new main series games. We'll find out.
I'll go through the Silph Arena if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So Silph Arena is the one that I think we as a group, as a podcast and a streaming service started on. Silph Arena is where we had our foundation.
Where we're still focused, I would say.
Yeah. Was it 3 years now? 3 years that we started with the Boulder Cup. And our first stream was in Seattle with the
Yeah.
Pokemon group.
Yeah, we started streaming Pokemon Go with the first Silph Arena Cup.
Which was Boulder Cup. But we'll get to that in a minute. So, and the difference with Silph Arena is you have teams of 6, and you pick 3 of those 6 when you go to fight your opponent. Both teams are visible, so you see your opponent's 6 Pokemon, and they see your 6 Pokemon.
It's kind of like playing Uno, but you can see each other's cards. You don't know how they're going to play them.
Yeah,
but you can see each other's cards, which I have not played Uno recently. I can't imagine that's an enjoyable way to play Uno. That's got to be a weird way to play Uno.
So the difference of Silph Arena versus Go Battle League, in Go Battle League, you're just randomly placed against 5 different people in your set. With Silph Arena, you play the best out of 3 matches against one opponent and then move on based on how many rounds are in the tournament. Silph Arena is tournament focused. GBL is not. There are different thematic metas every month. For example, the Boulder Cup we were talking about was limited to rock, steel, fighting, and ground, I believe.
That sounds right.
And it was a limit of 1,500 CP.
So within Great League.
Each month has a different theme, and it's not just types. Sometimes it's concepts. Like there was one, I want to say last year, where it was you had to pick one Pokemon from each generation to complete your team of 6. Unova, I don't know if Galera was around at that time, and Alola were kind of clumped into the last slot together.
These were the generations of the Pokemon main series games.
Correct.
So originally the handhelds, now they're going on to Switch, which I guess is also considered a handheld.
Yeah.
Semantics.
But so the one thing that Silph Arena does offer is every month there's a unique twist or concept that you have to build a team around. It's community driven. Silph Arena was originally derived of PvP came out and people were like, we want to battle against each other in tournament settings.
This was before, so Go Battle League was actually released
A year after.
So the PvP mechanics and feature within Pokemon Go was released. There wasn't a structure for battles, so the Silph Arena was created, and then was it a year later? Some months later, Niantic put out the matchmaking system that was Go Battle League.
Correct.
So
there are live or monthly remote tournaments. Live, when we say live tournaments, we talk about a period of one day where you play over a couple of hours based on how many participants are in the tournament. And then the monthly long ones are where, for example, when we host in our Discord server, the Silph Arena tournaments, we'll say, okay, we'll start it the second week of, let's say we start in October this season. We'll say maybe the second or third week in October, and then you schedule with your opponents to play on a certain day and a certain time that works best for you and that opponent for that round. You play your match, report your results, and then as soon as everyone can finish and as quickly as possible, we move on to the next round in the tournament. But that's something else for a later discussion. Silph Arena is Great League focused. It has been for the entirety of its conception.
The individual competition where it's you matched up against other people, and your rank is solely based on your own performance, is Great League focused. There is a team-based organized competition, which is called the Silph Factions, that does have a person in your team can play between different metas or different of the leagues, so Great League, Ultra League, Master League. But that is the only instance in which the Silph Arena has gone into hot leagues higher than
just
Great League that has actually been relevant.
Yeah. One of the great benefits that we've
ranked, I should say.
One of the great benefits that we've had the awesome experience to have is through Silph Arena, you do have to make friendships with the person you're battling.
You have to be cordial to the person you're battling. I would hope you would make new friends along the way.
Right.
Just like, the video games or the TV series where, you meet people along your Pokemon journey and you're making friends and such. You don't have to. It's not required.
But it is
nowhere am I going to be like, have you made your monthly
quota.
allocation of friends?
Yeah.
This.
No, the one thing that Silph sets apart from the GBL is GBL you just randomly queue through their own matchmaking system.
Yeah.
With Silph Arena, you jump in a server, you jump in a Discord, some
Or you-
other form of social networking.
At some point, you'll meet face to face.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that in some point.
But the reason I say you have to make friends is because you have to physically send that person your friend code, and then once you do, you're able to battle each other remotely as friends.
Yeah.
And that's how Silph does it.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be you could just meet up in person and scan the QR code, or just do the same kind of thing, exchange friend codes fairly quickly to establish that friend connection. Because I want to say it was 2 years ago, prior to the pandemic, to battle a friend remotely, you had to be ultra higher. When COVID hit, they removed that ultra level friendship requirement.
Yeah, that is true.
So now, thankfully, Niantic has allowed us to battle at even below great friends.
Yeah, you just have to have be on your friends, have the person on your friends list, and have I think one interaction, which basically
Right.
means sending a gift and having that person open it.
Right.
So
I'm probably going a little too much on this one, but it's been a great experience for both Steven and myself. We've gone to places we would never have gone before. We've gone to mega tournaments hosted by this group with, I would say, we had 300 participants in Portland.
I don't know, it was a lot.
So another keynote is most of the battles for Silph Arena right now taking place are done remotely. They originally were done in person. You would go somewhere, and that's what a live tournament was.
Mm-hmm.
But with everything going on right now with COVID, there's a chance that eventually we'll get back to in person. But for now, they're holding out on just remote.
Yeah, within Silph's rule set, the battles have to be remote.
Right. They don't want to have anybody getting hurt, injured, sick, anything negative.
Yeah.
So just to be safe, everyone's been... The last year, we did all remote.
Yeah.
And then the benefit of Silph Arena is, unlike GBL, you can choose to play ranked, where you're credited for your wins and losses, or you can play unranked, where you can run whatever combinations, and even if you lose, it's still a great way to learn PvP.
I'd like to correct you that you're credited for your wins, losses, and buys.
Yes,
but
Steven, our representative expert in the buy.
All right, fun fact. If a tournament, the way that these tournaments are organized is what's called Swiss. So no one's eliminated in the middle of a tournament. Everyone plays every round. If you have an odd number of players, one person can't play nobody. So guess what happens? That person that's at the very bottom of the leaderboard that doesn't have anyone that's matched up against automatically gets the win. Now that win is put towards their win column within Silph's stat thing to calculate your rank. So realistically, you didn't play against anyone, but you technically got a win, which then, I guess I would put it in quotes, inflates your rank.
Right, because you go 3-0 against no one.
Yeah, so it's weird. I don't like it you can't tell. It's odd, and it's a gripe that I've not let go of.
So
my
my
headstone literally might read like, here lies Steven Nelson. Why does a buy count as a win, Silph? Why? I'll never let it go.
So these are the two primary formats of PvP. There are other outlets within the circumference of PvP, but Go Battle League and Silph Arena are the two biggest outlets.
These are the two biggest outlets, the two biggest structured outlets. I was hearing about a handful of other basically tournaments that are being organized by other organizations. One of which that actually has like a prize pool, like, a legitimate esport, it's like $10,000 prize pool, which is like
Samsung did a tournament not too long ago.
Samsung did that one. Didn't end great. Oh, Jmar's coming in with some clarification. Some really granular stuff here. Clarification on that ranking. A bye win, so the win that you get as part of a bye is less than beating elite rank, for example. Now, an elite rank is rather high within the Silph Arena rankings, if you don't know the ranking order. To finish Jmar's clarification here. So strength of opponent does influence that rank weight. So it still counts as a win. It's not statistically as, I don't know, successful as a win, maybe? I don't know. I don't know how to really
That's more
put it.
Get into.
Yeah, it's a little more granular than I think, I don't know, beginners might understand. But, go look into that stuff. I would love to see. Jmar, do you have a resource of like the ranking stuff? Because I'd love to see that. You ready for the next slide? Let's go to the next slide. Type effectiveness. Rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock, but like 3 times more complicated. If again, YouTube is your friend here. The video portion has a infographic that is so clean from Silph's website, actually. So silph.gg/how-to-build-your-pvp-team. A Pokemon Go type effectiveness chart with the attacker's type, basically, or the attacks type, and then the defender's type, and then if a move is neutral, if it's going to be super effective, if it's going to be not very effective, or it's going to be double resisted. Thanks, Jmar. Let's see. So it's very complicated because there's Pokemon and Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go borrows the core mechanics, the core sort of structure from what we call the main series games. If you hear MSG whenever we talk about something, that's going to be the main series games or the core series games.
So that's the ones that mostly came out on the Game Boys. Your red, your blue, your yellow, gold, silver, all the versions.
I'm not going to read out this type effectiveness chart. This is why the audio podcast will be slightly less informative than the video podcast, or than the video format, because we have nice little pictures here to help better illustrate things. There is the links to go to these sites. We'll put links all up in the doobly-doos and all that stuff.
Even for experienced players, some of these are pretty straightforward. You would think, yes, fire would be grass because it lights the things on fire, and water would be fire because water puts out fire. And then you get to things like steel. That should be weak to electric, but it resists it.
Weird, right? And then, let's see. Steel resists grass. Of course, it's weak to fire. That makes sense. But it also resists psychic.
Another one that I think Proto Man likes to point out a lot is, how does fighting beat steel?
You punch it really hard. Like, really hard.
I'm gonna go punch a wall. We'll test that theory.
Yeah, I'm gonna go punch this car. Let's find out. Does Steven break his hands? Find out next time.
So there's, even for experienced players like myself and Steven, you sometimes forget certain matchups. There is a lot to remember.
My knowledge of it is psychic, ghost, dark, and poison is very bad. There's sort of your rock, paper, scissors, and then there's your not rock, paper, scissors loadouts. But suffice it to say, you should learn your matchups. It's very important. It is one of the layers one of the key layers of the foundation of Pokemon Go. But the one thing to note is Pokemon type advantage. Just because one move is super effective against the type of a Pokemon doesn't guarantee your victory.
Nope.
So just because your Lucario with counter and power-up punch is super effective against Snorlax doesn't mean it's going to win. It's probably going to win unless that Snorlax has you get into shield advantage and all of this other stuff. There are ways to win losing scenarios.
And it's not type effectiveness is a part of the puzzle.
Yes. So numbers, we're going to get into like just the toppest levels of numbers, just the skim, that little bit of foam that's on top of a latte of the numbers of type effectiveness. So any move that is super effective against a Pokemon is going to be doing 1.6 times the normal damage. If it is a neutral move, so say let's go a normal attack on a normal Pokemon. So say Vigoroth is using Body Slam on another Vigoroth. That's going to be doing Body Slam's base damage. Technically, although there's stab.
Yeah, but that's another thing.
We'll get to that here in a moment. The super effective damage, now here's the funny thing, normal type. No normal move is super effective against another type. Normals just doesn't have. Normal is an incredibly blah type because it's not super effective against any one type. So say fighting type against a normal type. The counter or a power-up punch is going to be doing 1.6 times the amount of damage against a normal type than it would against another fighting type because it's super effective against that normal type. Now, not very effective if, say, a fighting type is using counter against a flying type. It's going to be doing 0.625 times the damage. So it's not going to be doing full damage. It's going to be doing less. Now,
because the flying resists the fighting.
Exactly. Now, here's the weird thing. The immunity or double resisted. So immunity would be the phrase in the main series games. In Pokemon Go, there actually isn't such thing as immunity. So in the main series game, if you used
for example, a normal type against a ghost.
Yes. Nothing happens. It basically
the move is ineffective.
Yes. There's a bit of text that appears on screen. Nothing happened. This Pokemon used Body Slam on Haunter. Nothing happened. Because it goes right through it. There's no damage taken. Now in Pokemon Go, math things and a more fast-paced battle system, actual damage is still happening. But it is basically double resisted. It turns into a 0.39 times the damage. So you're looking at around 0.4 times the standard amount of damage, which is considerably less.
It's still doing damage, but just very bad.
Very, very little. And that only happens in key scenarios. If you look at the chart here, things that are double resisted, it's not very often. And Ghost has 2 of them. Of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out of 8 of the double resisted, Ghost has double resisted against normal and fighting. So Ghost is looking good. Now, double effective. Double effective is interesting here because not every Pokemon has only one type. There are Pokemon that have 2 types. When a Pokemon has 2 types that are both weak to the attack, so let's use a common example of Abomasnow as a grass-ice type, or grass and an ice type. Both of those types are weak to fire type. And if something throws a fire type attack at Abomasnow, it will take double the super effective. Well, not mathematically. It's what's called double effective. So that multiplier is 2.56 times the damage. And again, that is only when a Pokemon has both of its types weak to the type that it's being hit with. So, math. Generally speaking, just know the concepts when it comes to these damage multipliers. It's not... You can big brain play Pokemon Go PvP and know the math and statistics and stuff, but it's better to have more practical knowledge and generally know your type matchups and know what each Pokemon that you're using is going to be super effective against and what you're going to resist.
Right.
So
for example, if you lead a Squirtle and I lead a Charmander, I know that's a very disadvantageous matchup for myself.
yes.
And to prolong that fight in certain scenarios is not a good option.
Mm-hmm. You're going to want to try and switch the odds into your favor.
But there's also advanced mechanics where keeping that in might not be a bad idea either, but that's something we'll get to in a later discussion.
It's next episode, baby. Where's my mouse? There's my mouse. Okay. Stats breakdown. If I didn't confuse you enough already with numbers,
Here we go.
we're going to try and go top level here because stats are somewhat important and are what we use to determine if a Pokemon is going to be okay or not.
Or as Steven likes to call it, butts.
Oh, butt cheeks?
Butt
Well,
cheeks.
I mean, yes. Lucario has a great moveset. Its stats make it butt cheeks.
What's the asterisk to butt cheeks?
What do you mean?
Can you give the crowd an explanation?
Of what butt cheeks is? Oh, I mean, because we're a family-friendly podcast, I can't call something bad, dirty language.
Right, so you just say bad. It's
I just say-
bad.
I just say butt cheeks. It's a more direct analogy to what I would want to call it, but I can't call it. I mean, I don't know. We could maybe determine the tiers in which, like, bad, butt cheeks, doo-doo, stinky doo-doo, maybe? I don't know. We can maybe determine that later.
Put that on a shirt.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do want to do just I'll have to show you the sketch of what
Okay.
the butt cheek shirt would look like. So, yeah. Could you imagine a mug and it just has just like it's just the drawn outline of a pair of
Cheeks.
cheeks. Yeah.
All right.
That's some butt cheeks right there. That's some bad coffee. All right. Base stats. Pokemon Go simplifies the absolute heck out of the main series games stats. I'm not going to go into crazy numbers, details on the main series games. I've been warned against that.
Yeah.
Suffice it to say, Pokemon Go translates the information and stats and stuff from the main series games into Pokemon Go. I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty on how it translates and all of that stuff, but we'll just break down the most important bits here. So your Pokemon's base stats when it comes to Pokemon Go: attack, defense, and stamina, aka HP. Health points if you don't play a whole lot of video games.
Yeah. Speed is non-existent.
I wasn't going to reference it, but yes.
At least that one.
Speed is in the main series games. It does tweak numbers here within Pokemon Go, but it's not visible and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Basically. Every Pokemon has the base stats of attack, defense, and stamina of the species, which are...
Each evolution.
Yes, so each species evolution has its own base stats.
Every Pokedex number has its own core stats.
Sorry, I'm going to asterisk that because things like Deoxys that have different forms have different base stats.
Right, but in Pokemon Go, those are each individual dexes.
Are they dex numbers? Interesting.
Well, they're not separated dex numbers. It's you click that Pokemon and it has different forms.
Big ol' wacky looking asterisk made out of crayon. The example we have on screen here, is Nidoqueen, and we'll get to Nidoqueen here in a second. But when we're talking about base stats, Nidoran female, Nidorina, and Nidoqueen all have different base stats when it comes to attack, defense, and stamina. The other thing to keep in mind, and the reason we have these screenshots on here, is that each individual Pokemon has its own stats as well. Stat distribution. Those are called IVs, or individual values. So when you catch a Pokemon that is a 100, say if you're doing raids and stuff, it has 15 out of 15 attack, 15 out of 15 defense, 15 out of 15 HP. That is a what we call 100% hundo, all that stuff. That has max individual values, but it's still played. It still has the modifiers of its species base stats. So in this particular instance, we're looking at 2 Nidoqueens of mine, both within the Great League parameter, with the base stats or the species stats for Nidoqueen of an attack stat of 117.7, a defense stat of 116.5, which actually I think this is averaged out somehow within PV Poke, but quick grab anyway. A defense stat of 116.5 and a stamina stat of 139. The benefit here, what we're looking at in general for Pokemon Go to determine if a Pokemon is good, is its species stats are going to have a lower attack and a higher defense and HP.
For PvP. For
PvP. Now for raids, you want attack, you want as much attack as possible, as fast as possible, because you're looking at a timed match. You want to beat that raid boss as quick as possible. 1, because you get more bonuses, and 2, the raid lobbies are long enough. Why not make that raid battle a little bit faster?
There's a reason why people tell you not to use Blissey or Snorlax in raids.
Speed runs. So within Pokemon Go, when we're looking ahead at Pokemon that are going to come out, we're looking at for Pokemon that have high defense and high stamina. The reasons why top level attack is the attack stat is 2 times weighted when it comes to your combat power, which is what determines if a Pokemon is within Great League, Ultra League, or Master League. So if we have a lower attack but higher defense and stamina, that means we're getting more stats within a lower CP. It's a little.
So for the example, in Great League, you want to keep your Pokemon below 1500 CP. Pokemon like Greninja tend to have higher attack basic value. They're in the main series games, it's an attack and speed focused Pokemon, which in Pokemon Go PvP, you don't want that because it doesn't translate well. The way the CP formula combat power works in Pokemon Go is it's 1 point attack, half a point in HP or defense. So things that are more defensive, slow weighted,
Point that at you.
The things that are more defense weighted and HP focused are going to get more stat growth over their powering up than something that's attack weighted. Because if I power up a Pokemon once and it's 1 point in HP and defense, it's 2 points in attack.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll get to that cap slower if a Pokemon's base attack is lower.
So, and actually, let me pull up my 2 Nidoqueens in my game, and I can tell you exactly what the levels are.
Right, because like on screen here, you have one that has 14 attack, 15 defense, and 15 HP, versus one that has 1 attack, 15 defense, and 9 HP, 9 or 8?
8 or 9 HP, yeah. That means that there's going to be a lower CP increase because of the attack and a higher CP increase because of the defense and HP.
Right.
So
one of those is a lower level than the other.
yes. So because one of these, the one with a 14 attack, has a higher attack stat, it is a lower level. It's kind of marginal looking at the two screenshots. The amount of CP it gains per level up is higher, and thus it's a lower level. Just do a quick shiny check on this Bunnelby here. Priorities, Let's see. Nidoqueen.
Now you might be asking, what does CP mean? Why does that matter? It's the overall performance and longevity of that Pokemon's performance in competitive.
So the 1485 CP Nidoqueen, 14, 15, 15. So 14 attack, 15 HP, 15 HP, 15 defense, is a level 21 at 1485, which means its stats are at where a level 21 would be. The 1497 is a 115.9. That is at level 23. So what is that? 2
points of level difference.
2 whole levels difference, which means it's going to have slightly better stats because it's a higher level than the 1485, than the higher attack weighted. It's a little complicated when it comes to the breakdown here. It's also not incredibly relevant, and I believe that's the next slide.
Before you jump into that, let me plug in these advanced IV stats, and I can give you specific numbers.
Okay. Suffice it to say, between the Pokemon's base stats, its individual values...
Was your second one an 8 or a 9?
9.
Okay.
The Pokemon's level, all of those numbers correlate into what its combat power is. So there are Pokemon like Smeargle that have such low stats that it will not get above 600 or so, 600, 900 CP. It will not be relevant within Great League.
So plugging in the two different numbers into one of the resources that we commonly use, PvPoke, the 1485 has a base stat set of 118.7 attack, 115 defense, 135 stamina, whereas the other one has a 115.9 attack. There's the difference in the attack, a 120 defense, and a 138 stamina. So the one on the right is technically going to survive longer than the one on the left, where the one on the left will do slightly more damage because of its higher attack stat. But overall, the longevity in PvP is what you're going for.
Okay. That might be a little confusing.
That's a lot of numbers. I apologize.
No, this whole slide might be a little confusing. If you've got questions, feel free to ask. Just don't tweet at us, is this Pokemon good? Because that frustrates me. Seeing Jerry Seawolf and Kakuna Matata. Jerry Seawolf writes a lot of the articles on breakdowns of new Pokemon and breakdowns of upcoming metas. Kakuna Matata is the one that runs PvPoke. A lot of people tweet at them, hey, is this Pokemon good? Which one should I power up? Here's 2 of them. And it's like, they make resources to tell you
that specific question,
to give you the answer to those specific questions. They themselves are human beings with lives of their own. There's not a team. They are individuals. Go use the resources.
Yeah.
So please don't tweet at us with, hey, is this good? And I totally expect like Jamar or somebody to tweet at us right now.
He's going to bring that Smeargle. Hey, is this good?
Hey, will this be good in Great League ever? No.
But if you have questions on what things are technically considered good, 1, we'll get to that in another slide here shortly. And 2, we have an amazing community of PvPers on our Discord. You are more than welcome to jump in and join in the shenanigans and ask questions there.
Okay.
Jamar.
So,
I feel the keyboard typing.
yeah. This is the great response. The great question of Pokemon Go PvP. Do IVs matter? Short answer, no. Long answer, sometimes.
Yeah.
There's an even longer answer, and I will not get into it here. Suffice it to say, if you have something powered up for Great League and you've been using it, it's still going to be good because it's considerably less resources for you to build something up next. That shouldn't stop you from continuing to catch Pokemon to try and find the best that you can, because that's the one benefit of Pokemon Go. There's always going to be new stuff spawning. You can always catch more stuff, get more candy, get more Stardust, get better ranked Pokemon.
Yeah.
So
if you have something you are particularly happy that you have, so like a shiny community Pokemon or something that's from an event that you want to use in competitive, go for it. There's just a chance you might find a better one at some other point, but you can't live in FOMO when it comes to PvP.
So this screenshot that I have here that blends in incredibly well because the background's like almost the exact same with our the rest of our slide here is a generically built Umbreon and the rank 1 Umbreon. So generically built.
What is the rank 1?
The rank 1 is a 0 in attack, a 15 in stamina, and a 15 in, I almost said HP because it's the same stat. A 15 in defense and a 15 in HP.
But I
so
mean,
it's 0, 15, 15.
More so when we say rank 1, we mean out of all the possible combinations of IVs, this is the most appeal situation.
It is the ideal, the best, because usually the rank 1, when we say rank 1, the best statistical version of a Pokemon for PvP, and usually within Great League and Ultra League, as long as it doesn't cap out right at 1500 or 2500, basically means it can be leveled beyond that. You are looking for the maximum amount of HP and defense you can get while also hitting exactly 1500 or exactly 2500.
Yep.
So you want the most amount of the most amount of stats within HP and defense that you possibly can
from leveling up
while hitting at the cap, because it's useless if it's 1501. If it gives me 3 more stats in defense, but it's a 1501, still useless.
Yeah.
So
I could tell you some horror stories about people that accidentally powered up something not knowing. And any of you with kids or grandkids,
oops.
I sympathize.
Oops.
But I thought it wanted to go higher. Your Vaporeon was only 1500 CP. It wasn't very strong.
Yeah. So, short answer, no, IVs don't matter. Long answer, sometimes they do. It just because you have something built up doesn't mean you should stop catching Pokemon.
Correct.
If you really, really, really want to invest in it within Pokemon Go, you can look for those rank 1s. There's also sometimes advantages to have Pokemon that are not those rank 1s. So in this particular matchup, the Umbreon, what's called a mirror matchup, where it's you are using the same Pokemon as your opponent, thus mirror. The mirror matchup between Umbreon and Umbreon, the rank 1 Umbreon actually loses because it's actually dealing less damage than the non-ideal Umbreon.
And that's in a single shield scenario or just straight?
Basically, in an instance where you're doing exactly the same thing as your opponent at the same time, given no lag or any other extraneous circumstances. Basically.
Okay.
In a mechanically run simulation where both trainers use one shield to block something, and you're trying to shield bait or whatever in the world, the unideal Umbreon with a little bit higher attack wins.
So having that rank 1 all the time doesn't mean you're guaranteed the win.
No. Just like type advantage doesn't guarantee you the win.
Correct.
To shadow or not to shadow. Now, if you've played Pokemon Go for a while, you might know of shadow Pokemon. These are Pokemon that Team Rocket will basically like release. You beat them, they rage quit, they leave one of their Pokemon behind.
Yeah, basically.
You can catch that Pokemon and use it as your own. Excuse me. Shadow Pokemon are a little, excuse me, goodness gracious. Shadow Pokemon are a little bit different than, or have a little more differences than just having a purple aura and red eyes. Shadows have a increased cost to power it up to higher levels, as well as a higher cost to unlock the second charge move. So your fast attacks, which are on by default, you have one charge move that's available off the by default on all Pokemon. You can unlock a second charge move by paying additional resources. The second charge move in the case of Shadows are an additional cost. Now, if you know of Shadows, you can also purify, so you can spend Stardust, a resource, to purify that Pokemon. That will increase its level. Let's see.
To 25.
Increase its level to 25. If it's not, what happens if it's past that?
It's
Does it
never.
just stay?
Shadows are always level 5.
Well, no, but if you power up a Shadow Pokemon to level 26 and you purify it.
I think it just comes out at 26.
Okay. So it comes out to 25 or whichever's highest.
Yeah.
25 or its current level. But they always pop out. You catch them at level 5. Purified, if you spend the Stardust and purify it, have a reduced cost to level up and a reduced cost for the second move. Shadow Pokemon have the charge move Frustration by default. The one thing to note with Frustration, it's bad and you can't remove it on any given day. There has to be an event going on where Frustration is TMable, where you can use a TM, a technical machine, to remove Frustration and add a regular charge move. You can't use an Elite TM. You can't use basically the premium items to remove Frustration.
It has to be on a given event, and Niantic's been pretty good about putting those out quarterly.
Yeah, so about every 3 months we'll get an event where Frustration can be removed from a Shadow Pokemon.
In no circumstance can I think keeping Frustration is a good option.
Yes.
Because it is costly and does minimal damage.
Yes, it doesn't do a whole lot of... It's just not...
It's not good.
Trust us, it's not good. It is butt cheeks. The quintessential charge move that is butt cheeks is Frustration. You don't want it. Now, the one thing to remember is if you have a Shadow Pokemon and you're using it as a PvP Pokemon, removing Frustration is an additional cost. You might want to see if you can get a reasonable statistic distribution for that Shadow Pokemon if you're going to remove Frustration from it.
Correct.
Because it does cost additional resources to remove Frustration, add the second move, which not all Shadows really require the second move to be unlocked.
No, there's a couple I could think of that just need their fast.
Yes. But in the long run, having that second move is usually helpful. It's additional coverage. We'll talk about coverage. I don't know when we'll talk about coverage.
A little later.
At some point.
I think that goes into team building.
Yes. Let's see. Yes. So Frustration is limited, has a limited removal windows. It's expensive, and Shadow Pokemon are more expensive. Oh, by the way, the image on screen is Shadow Lugia, which isn't in the game yet, and that's also the Shadow Lugia variant from Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, which isn't a main series game. It's a spin-off game. It just looked cool. It's one of my favorites. So maybe at some point we'll get this variant in Pokemon Go because we got Armored Mewtwo. Maybe we'll get Shadow Lugia.
The original Shadow.
The original Shadow. Because Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness was an evil organization turning Pokemon into Shadow variants. And then you had to go and catch those. You had to steal them, actually. You had a gauntlet that you could throw Pokeballs and steal other people's Pokemons. Because you can't do that in any other game.
So kind of like Mewtwo in the first movie.
Where he was stealing Pokemon? Yes.
With his own Pokeballs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Another key thing that I forgot to put in the notes here is Shadow Pokemon are only obtainable through rockets.
Yes. Rocket Grunts, Rocket Leaders, Giovanni.
Yep.
The Rocket
Team Rocket.
boss. A boss. A boss is a child and they're beating us. What are we going to do, boss?
Each species of these Shadow Pokemon are on a timetable. I have seen things come and go. I have not seen things that have left come back. So
That's true. That is true. Shadow Pokemon that have been within the rotation have not cycled back. That is frustrating.
Yes. Because Charmander and Squirtle had a few appearances, or Charmander and Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur has had quite a bit of reoccurrences, but I have never seen a Shadow Squirtle. It was around for the first couple of days when Team Rocket first came out, and this was a thing, but it has not returned yet. Maybe at some point we will see that. So if there is a certain species, one resource you can always check out to find out what current Shadow Pokemon are available is the Silph Road. It's another great website to tell you raid bosses and all that other kind of stuff. But they list each of the Team Rockets, what their motto is when they go to battle, and what Pokemon you have a chance of encountering when you battle them. Majority of the time, when you battle a Grunt, it is the lead Pokemon that you find. There are some instances where you can encounter the second one. So, for example, if you're fighting the one that says something about Dark-type Pokemon, normally, currently, for us in rotation, it's Poochyena, and I think that's the sole Dark-type lead.
Mm-hmm.
And then second, they can use Sableye. I've had a couple instances where I've had Sableye, but there's other people that just get Poochyena.
Yeah, usually the team of three for that, whereas there is light, there's also shadow, which is the dark type rocket. It'll be like Poochyena, Mightyena, Cacturn.
Yeah.
Generally. Which means you'll usually get Poochyena in that instance. Sometimes, because Sableye is also a dark type, it's a dark ghost.
Yep.
You'll get a lineup of Poochyena, Sableye, Cacturn, or Mightyena, depending. You'll probably get Poochyena, which is great, because if you need to purify Pokemon, it's only $1,000 or $1,000 Stardust cost to purify. It's a cheap purification. But if you're PvP and you're grinding for that purified Sableye, the Sableye in the second slot has a chance to be the Pokemon reward you get.
Right.
So,
another thing to note is outside of the first couple of days when they realized how broken this was, now Shadow Pokemon cannot be traded.
Mm-hmm.
The keynote there is extensionally long, and the TLDR is when you purify Pokemon, each of their stats go up by 2. Each of their IVs, I should specifically say, go up by 2. And if you have a lucky trade, you can raise the ceiling on those IVs. Long story short, Niantic didn't like people abusing getting hundos, so that got nicked in the butt.
Yeah.
So
nipped in the
butt. Sorry.
Not in the butt, the bud.
Yes.
Yeah, you're
I'm all over the place tonight. So if you are hunting for shadows, just realize this is not something that can be traded.
Yeah, you have to purify them before you trade them.
And then when you do purify them, they are considered a special trade.
Just like a shiny would.
Yep.
Or a legendary or mythical. I'm shaking my head. The other odd thing about shadows, and this relates directly into PvP.
This is their selling point.
Shadow Pokemon give 20% more damage. In all scenarios, 20% more damage output. The downside is they will take approximately 19% more damage. So originally it was generalized to they give 20%, they take 20% more damage. So they become a little bit weaker, but a little bit stronger as far as damage. So there are some Pokemon that absolutely benefit from having this double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And some Pokemon that really don't. So, key winner here is something like Executor, which is Execute's evolution. Confusion is a move that does a ton of damage. It's a slower move, but it does a ton of damage. You add a 20% damage increase to already a huge chunk of damage. You're outputting a lot of damage.
Yep. And Executor, in general, is a pretty defensively built Pokemon. It's got a little bit more bulk to throw around. Without this buff of a double-edged sword feature, it wasn't very used commonly. But now that things like it have a shadow variant, you see it, and when you start to see how quickly that damage adds up, you go, oh crap, this hurts. And Executor is also one of those ones that gets off fast-firing charge moves. That move that used to not be threatening almost immediately becomes half your health if it gets through.
Yes, so shadows are basically the double-edged sword of you give more damage, you take more damage. So how does that play within, team building, powering up a shadow versus a non-shadow?
Resourcing it.
To shadow or not to shadow is, in fact, the question. I would say second question versus do PvP. Do IVs matter?
Some
a lot of questions
key
being raised.
Winners, I think, of the shadow mechanic introduction. Victory Bell for a while exploded in competitive.
I think it's still pretty relevant.
It's okay.
The amount of Razor Leaf does a lot of damage, and
they added 20% more damage to it.
It does a lot of
damage. And it
damage.
just shredded against things even that resisted it.
That's a lot of damage.
Another one is Nidoqueen. Ever since they've redone poison types with Poison Fang and Poison Jab, in a neutral matchup for Great League, Azumarill is one of the top performing overall in Great League. Shadow Nidoqueen can now beat Azumarill where the regular Nidoqueen does not. So certain shadows perform better in certain scenarios. Much like a lot of PvP, it is incredibly situation-based, but there are guides out there. There are recommended, this is a good shadow Pokemon to go after versus things that are just good to get the resources for.
And the benefit is resources like PvPoke will actually distinguish between a shadow variant of a Pokemon and its regular variant.
Yep.
It's non-shadow.
Yeah.
So Purified doesn't have any
battle bonuses.
It gains, return?
Mm-hmm.
As a charge move in place of frustration, which can be TM'd at any point in time, which can be switched out to a regular move at any point in time, which is good because return is generally bad.
But return is also a legacy move, so once you remove it, you cannot get it back.
Even with an elite TM, you cannot get it back. So the other sort of downside about purifying is that it adds 2 into every stat of that individual's Pokemon. So where you might have a shadow that is 0-15-15 or 0-13-13 in probably a more a better example here, purifying it would give it 15s in its defense and stamina, but it would also make that attack stat 2, which means it's going to be a little bit less effective.
Depending on the species in their base stats.
Yes. So the other thing is once you purify a Pokemon, you cannot make it a shadow again.
There are currently no mechanics to make a Pokemon shadow other than catching them from grunts or team leaders.
So beware when purifying. Generally, it's currently better to leave a shadow Pokemon.
Especially on the
purify.
legendaries.
Yes.
And if you ever want to, again, invite to join the Discord, we like to let people know when the frustration events become available.
Yes, those go all over Twitter. You should check your news tab in Pokemon Go. Check Discords. Next page. All right, for PvP, there's a lot of Pokemon. Pokemon Go has how many Pokemon are in the game right now? I have seen.
I'd say over 600 now.
I've seen 648, and there are Pokemon that I have not seen that I know are in the game.
So about 650.
More than that.
There's only 8 regionals.
Hmm?
There's only 8 regionals.
I'm thinking there's probably around 700 or so Pokemon in the game.
Okay.
Someone can tell me a more accurate number as of, I don't know, the event currently, the Galar event currently released more Pokemon in it, which I think I've seen just about everything. No, I take that back. I haven't seen Greedent or Dubwool yet, so...
But those aren't even a week old yet.
Right. But, yeah, there's probably close to around 700 Pokemon within Pokemon Go currently.
Tell you what, I'll go put those in gyms for you.
Thanks.
So you get to see them.
I guess so. Cool. There's a lot of options within Pokemon Go for PvP. Not every Pokemon is very good within PvP. Smeargle, don't use it unless you're wanting to lose, which, I mean, there are some niche scenarios.
One thing I think you keep mentioning Smeargle. One Pokemon that's just never allowed in general is Ditto.
Oh, yeah. Because the duplication of another Pokemon is weird. Can you even use it within, like, battles?
Friendly battles, yes.
How does that work? Does it just stay Ditto?
Yeah, no, it transforms into whatever they send out. Essentially, they get 2 turns in by the time he transforms, though.
Okay. But then does it copy the moveset and everything?
Yeah.
Wow. Directly?
Yeah.
Whack. All right.
I mean, competitively, that could be a fun third shield. That's another term. But you could fish out people's moves.
I guess.
But Ditto is in Go Battle League and in Silph Arenas, to my knowledge, is just generally banned.
If you don't know what Ditto is it copies the Pokemon that it's battling.
It's a Kirby Pokemon.
Yeah, kind of. Basically, if you know what Kirby is.
Anyway.
Okay. So, Pokemon to have or to get. The Pokemon to have are basically starters. Starters are cheap investments. You get a lot of them during community days. They're generally pretty common when it comes to overworld spawns within the game.
There's usually an event for them.
There's usually events for them all the time. As well as the starter Pokemon have the cheapest second move cost, cheapest base second move cost of 10,000 Stardust. And then, what is it, 100 candy or 50 candy or something like that?
25 and 100.
25? Okay. So, some specific starters that you are going to look for that perform incredibly well are Bulbasaur, Chikorita, Mudkip, and Torchic. These are Pokemon whose third tiers perform incredibly well within Great League. So for the Silph Arena, those are starters you're going to want to look for. Now, you have some of your tertiary ones. Piplup evolves into an Empoleon, who is a Water Steel, performs fairly well. The downside currently is that Steel types don't perform incredibly well within Pokemon Go. That's just a general balance thing. That might change. So always keep a lookout, but currently not as impressive. Another weird one is Turtwig. Its final form, Torterra, is not great. It's rather bizarre typing. Its moveset's okay. Its stat distribution is actually fairly solid. It just doesn't have great resistances here or there. But Turtwig's first evolution, Groddle, is good.
Great League.
For Great League. It is, I want to say, a Razor Leaf as its fast move. And Razor Leaf as its fast move. Body Slam and Energy Ball, I think.
I don't know. I've never run one.
It's goofy. If you're looking for a performing grass type,
there are others.
But Groddle is goofy. Do I have? Where's my? There it is. Yes, Razor Leaf, Body Slam, Energy Ball. It's whack. It also gets Bite, which is not good, and its other third charge move available is Solar Beam, which is you're not going to get to with Razor Leaf. So Groddle does need to be near. Actually, what rank is this? Because this is Actually, it needs Great League IVs, and it is before maxing out at level 40. Before you need XL candies. So realistically, Groddle's a reasonable budget if you're looking for a straight grass type Pokemon. So, but not exceptional like the ones that we've mentioned before. Phlegm. Your community day and spotlight hour Pokemon. Not every spotlight hour is created equal. Community days, though, I guess technically also not created equal. Community days, they've done a very good job at making community day Pokemon pretty darn relevant with their community day moves. Trying to think of the one that's been not good recently. What was the one that was like just bad?
Eevee.
It was before Eevee.
Eevee's been around. It wasn't Ampharos, was it?
No, it was not too long ago. If someone's watching in Twitch, they'll let us know.
I'll look it up real quick.
I'm scrolling through. That's GoFest. More GoFest. Blah, blah, blah. GoFest. Whole lot of GoFest catches. No, seriously, this is a lot.
Okay, so you're just looking for recent.
Was it Tepig? Tepig Community Day was not great.
Before that was Gibble.
Gibble was okay.
Before that was Swablu.
Also okay.
Snivy.
No, I think Snivy actually was kind of looking forward to that.
Then there was Fletchling, Roselia, and Machop.
Okay, Roselia was one that was like it got 2 community days or 2 community day moves. So it got an exclusive fast move and an exclusive charge move. The only Pokemon to ever get 2 moves, and that's because it desperately needed it. And even though it got both of those moves, it still was subpar compared to other Pokemon. It's okay. But, and actually I was thinking about Roselia specifically, or Roserade in that particular instance while I was writing this information. Community Day and Spotlight Hour provide ample candy and dust opportunities for PvP relevant mon. So Eevee, catch all the Eevee you can, even though they're not super relevant. Umbreon's great, absolutely great, and we'll get to Umbreon in a minute. Umbreon's great. A couple of the other evolutions are actually pretty solid. It's not like you have a maximum inventory of the number of candy you can have for a Pokemon.
Right.
Just catch them all.
Literally the motto.
I do have to catch them all. I do got to catch them all. Or, well, it used to be the motto. There was some legal thing. I'd have to look up. There was some like breakdown as to why the gotta catch them all got dropped. And it was humorous.
Was it because of the...
I think it was the first couple of generations, because within the first couple of generations, because you couldn't move them forward.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense than what I was thinking.
So even if the featured Pokemon isn't the best in its role, Roserade, Roselia, it will be a resource and an additional option. So Roserade, while it's not the best Pokemon, there are going to be Silph Arena metas or Go Battle League metas or formats that it is going to be either the only option or the best option.
Yeah, and if you're someone that's coming into Pokemon Go completely new or doesn't have access to the last 5 years of resources, it's an option.
If you don't have a good water starter, Oshawott Community Day is coming up. Go catch some Oshawott. Hydro Cannon is nothing to sneeze at. So you have a good Hydro Cannon user if you get yourself a good Samurott. So.
Yeah.
Easy to get. PvP Pokemon that are easy to get. Pikachu is everywhere all the time. Pikachu is the mascot of Pokemon. It is everywhere.
The moneymaker.
By the way, Raichu is real good. Raichu has a incredibly diverse moveset. Performs very well within Great League. I don't think it gets anywhere near Ultra League.
Maxed out for Alolan Raichu.
Okay, it does get within. Great and diverse moveset. Not incredibly bulky, but actually, it's not bad stats.
Its movesets help complement its stat distribution.
Huge spamability. Those charge moves will fire off incredibly quick. So your fast moves, the fast moves have high energy gain. The charge moves usually have either a low energy requirement or huge damage that you're still getting to them quick with the fast move energy generation. And it has options. It's one of those wild card. You make it your lead. You start that Pokemon off at the very beginning of a battle. Your opponent is going to wonder, is this Pokemon running? Are you going to run dual wild charges and skip it? Are you going to throw Thunder Punches? Are you going to throw a Grass Knot and confuse the heck out of me? Is this thing going to run Charm?
Yeah, but that's Kanto Raichu versus Alolan.
Right. Well, generally, because you can't evolve Pikachu into Alolan Raichu.
Correct.
Catch Pikachu. Get yourself a couple of Kanto Raichus, regular Raichus.
Yeah.
There you go.
Kanto Raichu and Alolan Raichu both have the benefit of being very move pool diverse Pokemon, and advanced strategies when it comes to competitive is move counting. That's something we'll get to in another time. But with the way Raichu plays, and specifically as a lead being the first Pokemon you send out, another term we'll get to at another point, it helps set the field for immediate pressure in the beginning. Because it's one of those things that you need to respect even though it is squishy, because it gets hit like a truck, but also in return hits like a truck.
Okay. Cool. So our outline here, there's a whole lot more. Like, we're not even getting into team building in this half. We're just getting into, like, scratching the surface basics. Jesus, there's a lot of content here. I watched Jiggly Dad's stream last night, and one of the things he referenced was rodent spawns.
Jiggly Dad being another content creator.
Yes, he's over on Twitch. Great guy, highly recommend. He actually is starting to put his stuff up on YouTube after the fact. His streams usually do go for like anywhere from, I think, 2.5 hours to really long. Like, I don't know. He's in Mountain Time, and it's like 1 o'clock here on the West Coast, and he's still streaming. And I'm like, bruh, you got to put something else in that Mio. Like, I don't know how you're still up. Plus, I'm pretty sure he works full time and everything. And I'm like, dude, whoo. I don't have the energy he does. Or I burst and he stretches it out. I don't know. But he referred to things as rodent spawns, which I thought was a great way to refer to things like Rattata, Wurmple, Pidgey, things that are just generally around all the time.
Your common spawns.
Your common spawns. Some of those common spawns, fantastic PvP starters
For Great League.
Pidgeot. Pidgeotto.
Pidgeot, yeah.
Pidgeot's pretty darn good. It's also been banned. It'll come back. That's a time for another day. Story for another time. Day for another story. Alolan Rattata's evolution. Alolan, which is the dark normal type. Alolan Raticate. It's got some solid bulk. It's got some solid spam. Can actually perform fairly well. It's a incredibly budget version of Umbreon.
Yeah.
Did I basically take that?
Well, I was going to say, when he mentioned spam is low cost, high damage energy moves. Charge moves.
Reasonable damage. But by spam, it does a decent amount of... It's not bad.
It's a
not
charge
a bad
move
amount of
that
damage.
you can get off frequently.
Yes. Let's see. Wurmple is weird. It has a split evolution, so it can evolve into one of two things. I think
Beautifly does not perform well, but Dustox does.
Dustox does. I put Wurmple. I was thinking of Weedle. Weedle evolves. Its third form is Beedrill, which actually does have play within Great League. It is a bug poison.
Mm-hmm.
It did have a community day.
That community move definitely helps it.
Drill Run. It's not required per se, but might be at some point a good use of an elite charge TM.
Yep.
Maybe. And Pidgey. Pidgeot.
Pidgeotto, Pidgeot.
Yeah, Pidgeotto, Pidgeot. Pidgeot is...
Very good.
Very good. It does have an exclusive fast move in Gust that it had for, I think, one of the Go Battle Knights, and then is now a legacy move. It is a flying type equivalent of Confusion. High damage, reasonable energy gain, but a very long move, so it takes up a large amount of time for a fast move.
What Steven means by legacy is it's a move that was available for a certain amount of time, but is no longer under normal conditions available.
You would have to use an elite TM, or a event would have to come back that would allow you to either TM or evolve a Pokemon into that form and get that Pokemon by default.
Or you could trade for one.
Yeah. Reroll them stats. Pidgeot also has the charge move. Which
Feather
one?
Dance?
Feather Dance.
The one that put it on the map?
Which caused it to be banned by Niantic and subsequently Silph Arena in any meta that it was available in. As of recording this on August 24th, let me correct myself. The Feather Dance has not been fixed or adjusted. It is still quote unquote broken in that it
was originally banned because it was causing issues mechanically within the game.
It caused the app to crash.
Yes. It was so strong.
Yeah, it's so strong. But on top of that, the move itself does a large amount of damage, but also, I believe, what is it, attack buff?
It's 100% attack debuff.
Okay, so it's a guaranteed debuff to your opponent's attack, which is significant, and if you ask me, absolutely overpowered. Something they might adjust here in the next week or so.
Yeah, so that might be subject to change. But the issue they have stated in the patch notes and or Known's issues page is that the Feather Dance system crash has been resolved.
Yes. The other thing to keep an eye out for, and actually this is something that we do when we break down upcoming events within the Battle Science podcast, is we talk about the event spawns and event spawns that are going to perform very well within Great League, Ultra League, Master League, perform well within PvP. Keep an eye out for boosted spawns because of rotating events. There's always going to be something that you're looking for, or it's going to be relevant, or something you just want.
For example, going on right now is the Ultra Unlock 3. One of the featured Pokemon is Squoviet. Squoviet has been, if you listen to our last episode, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago now, we kind of break down each of the individual featured Pokemon for this event. Squoviet is the one for Great League that you want to be focusing over Wooloo or Phalanx for this event. It performs very well in Great League with its unique moveset, and it can also perform in Ultra League fairly well, but you do need what's called XL candies, and that's something we'll get to at another point. So farm up those Squoviet while you can.
The other thing I have here is biannual events like the Kanto Tour and Go Fest are great resources for rare spawns.
Yeah.
So
especially this last Go Fest with Galarian, Stunfisk, Dino, Swaddle, yeah. Sableye was another one that was a fairly common spawn that's always been relevant in PvP. I know G-Fisk and Dino are some of the main focuses. There were other things. Tangela was an interesting one. Trico was spawning.
Depending on your weather, you had the availability to get some very rare spawns that are usually only weather boosted.
Or behind raids.
But they were in the wild with a wider variety of
individual value
distributions. So I think that's clicked on the wrong thing. Okay. I think one of the last points we have here before we wrap it up for the day, let me double check my, excuse me, goodness gracious. Drinking a lot of water and delicious dinner. By the way, I owe you.
Yes, you do.
Let's see. Oh, did I miss something on the previous page? No. We'll get there. Roles, types, and the gods of PvP. We're going to skim over this because there's a whole lot of types and a whole lot of roles, and we'll talk some more about that next episode. But top level, things you might be looking out for, Mud Boys. Well,
that's a term.
That's a term. The Mud Boys are generally ground and water types. They have great resistances because of that combination of types. They're both types. They're ground and water types, not one or the other. So things like Swampert, Wishcash, and Quagsire perform incredibly well. They have great resistances and usually provide great bulk, which means they have their base stats, their species stats, have high defense or HP and a lower attack. And they come with one of the fastest energy gain moves, Mud Shot. It's a ground type move. It generates energy quickly. What are you giggling at?
I was almost hoping you were going to say Mud Slap, but I think you finally matured.
No, I had to make sure. I had to make sure. I was like, which move is it? I looked it up.
Oh, darn.
That's why I have notes.
I was like, did Steven finally graduate and remember what the actual move was now?
Nope, I wrote it down. I cheated.
Because I remember forever and a day when we first started, you would always get those two mixed up.
I frequently get Mud Shot and Mud Slap mixed up. So it is Mud Shot in this particular instance.
Mud Shot is the more beneficial move than Mud Slap.
Yes. It is the best ground type move, or best ground type fast move.
Yeah.
AKA the only relevant fast ground type move. Or fast move ground type. So if you're running another ground type fast move, don't.
It's probably Mud Slap.
It's probably Mud Slap, and you're just semi-dyslexic like me. Another role, counterers, or fighters, or pseudo-fighters. Counter is one of the best moves. Whatever has it basically becomes relevant because it has counter.
Yep.
barring Breloom. I'm sorry, Breloom.
Hey, season 1, Breloom didn't have any competition. Was good.
I feel bad for Breloom. It's a fighting grass. It's weird. I would love for it to be better. It's just okay.
It's not butts category yet.
It's not butt cheeks. No, it's not quite butt cheeks. Like, I feel like maybe, like, the fact that grass knot was like one of the first special like legacy given.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's an event and Breloom can learn grass knot, and by the end of the event it won't be able to learn grass knot anymore. It's like, what? It was like 2 days. It was like 3 days.
So Breloom is also one of those ones that was, interestingly enough, one of the very first species to have a move that could be arguably balanced in terms, because I think it got access to, what was it, Seed Bomb later?
Maybe.
And it's the argument of which one's better, Grass Knot or Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb fires a little bit more frequently than Grass Knot does, but Grass Knot packs a little bit bigger of a punch. So it came down to spammability versus just straight overall DPS. But the problem with Breloom is its stats are pretty bad, and it's attack weighted, and it's not the best anymore.
I will find a time to use Breloom, but now is not that time.
Not with Chespin.
Bullet Seed and Counter
Are
dynamic
its 2 primary moves.
Dynamic Punch, Seed Bomb, Sludge Bomb, Grass Knot, Legacy. That's solid.
Yeah, it's got a crazy moveset.
Man.
It's just the attack weighted base stats.
Yep. Okay. Top counters. Bar none, go get yourself a good Toxicroak. Go get yourself a good Vigoroth. Both of those are fantastic. But Toxicroak, Machamp, Escavalier, Primeape, Vigoroth, Sudowoodo, and Scrafty. Go get you some of those. Some good counterers.
Why is counter so important?
Counter is, like, I would say, arguably the best move in the game. Both between fast moves and charge moves.
And the reason why is an advanced stat where it goes into how much damage the move does, how much as a fast move, how much damage the fast move does, what the cooldown on that fast move is, and how much energy it's gaining every time you use it.
Basically, if you've seen those, like, hexagons that'll have, like, stats pointing in the different directions, that'll show, like, how high of a stat it is, and it'll, like, balance out. Do you think what I'm thinking? Let me see. They use it in the main series games for, like, the stat distributions.
Yeah, it's your IVs and EVs. EVs, thank goodness, don't exist in Pokemon GO, except the Pokemon itself.
Because it's a graph. This is what I'm looking at. I will have to switch. Give me one moment. I will find a way to show you what I'm talking about. We go here, and we go here, and we go here. So this graph that's being shown on screen now, where it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a hexagon, 6-sided shape with this sort of weird triangle thing that's pointing in the different stats it has. So fast moves have basically, it's rather than a hexagon, it's 3 particular stats, and that's move duration, energy gain, and damage. And rather than a in Counter's position, it's basically the best in all of those. Yes. It has it's a very fast move. It has a very quick duration. It has a very reasonable energy gain, and then every time it hits, it gains that much energy. And then the amount of damage it does every time it hits is also pretty darn high. So it hits a lot and it does a lot of damage, gains a lot of energy.
If anything, it is the gold standard of fast moves.
Arguably the best move in the game period.
I think at one point you were
Personally.
saying that if they were to ever change counter, it would completely change the game.
Yes. I would almost say counter is the bedrock upon which Pokemon Go PvP is. It is the foundation upon which the house that is PvP is built upon.
Yeah.
So, yes. Something like So Machamp is usually run straight fighting type. It has Rock Slide, I think.
For coverage, yep.
For coverage.
They
which
also
helps,
had a community day for payback.
which helps win matchups that generally loses. Primeape is a similar instance where it's primarily running fighting type. It is a fighting type. It has Ice Punch, I think, is coverage. Toxicroak and Escavalier are weird ones where they have what might be considered multi-role. They have a very wide variety of moves, of a moveset that covers a lot of areas. So Toxicroak basically being one of the gold standard within
the fighting type
role. The fighting type counter role, because it has counter as a fighting type fast move, but it has Mud Bomb, a ground type move, and actually a pretty quick ground type charge move, and then Sludge Bomb, which is not as quick but pretty hard hitting, which gives it a ton of what we call coverage, which basically means one Pokemon has advantageous battle scenarios against a number of types.
Right.
Even things that would generally it would fear, it can have advantageous scenarios with. The other one of the it's a fast move that basically sets itself as a gold standard, is Charm, the fairy type fast move Charm, or the fairy not so fast move Charm. It is a very slow move, so it's similar to what we were talking about with Confusion. It is a slower fast move, but does a high amount of damage. This Caterpie is giving me the hardest time with catching it. Caterpie. My throat's just dry. Huge fairy type damage, deals with fighting, and it deals with those pesky dragons. And a great supplier of neutral damage. Your Charm isn't on a whole lot of Pokemon, but the Pokemon that best perform with it are Togekiss, which is
Togepi's second evolution.
So the one that Misty carries around in Kanto.
It's in a couple, but yeah.
Wigglytuff, which is Jigglypuff's evolution. Clefable. Potato. Alolan Ninetales, so the Ice Fairy version of Ninetales, has Charm, and Gardevoir also has Charm. They all perform fairly well. Charm is nothing to sneeze at. Other things we'll talk about in the next episode is DPS, or damage per second. You have your closers. You have your safe swaps. These are all roles that a Pokemon can have within the PvP sphere. So DPS, damage per second, something they can do a high amount of damage in a low amount of time. Closers, things that generally have high bulk, generally have reasonable bulk and can do an absolute mac ton of damage when resources are low. And things like safe swaps that are basically your multi-tool that usually you're looking at something like Munchlax, Snorlax, things that are generally neutral to a lot of things.
But they also have coverage options.
Exactly. Now, the gods of PvP.
Oh.
Peanut butter's not on this list. I'm sorry. Peanut butter?
Bidoof.
Yeah.
Our Lord and Savior.
Our Lord and Savior Bidoof is not on this list. Sorry, our Lord and Savior Helix is also not on this list. These are consistent performers, but are usually more difficult to obtain. These are things that have performed for years. They have not stopped performing. Skarmory's actually not on this list. Should Skarmory be on this list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Corviknight comes out. That's arguable.
Yeah.
That's another topic.
Although Skarmory's been around since Boulder, so
yeah,
it's an OG. Okay. Umbreon, Eevee's Dark Evolution. Azumarill, Marill's Evolution. Fairy Water, incredibly bulky, pretty reasonable moveset. Did I mention it's bulky? Holy cow, it's bulky. Jesus, the thing is
thick.
It's built like a M1A1 Abrams. No, M4A1 Abrams.
It's thicker than your McDonald's milkshake.
Are those really that thick?
It's thick.
It's thicker than peanut butter. Peanut butter's thick. Other things that are thick.
Hypno.
Hypno's generally thick. The benefit with Hypno is actually it performs as
it's a Swiss Army knife of Pokemon.
Exactly. It has all three of the elemental punches, being Fire Punch, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch, as well as Shadow Ball and
Focus Blast, Future Sight, Psychic, Psyshock. Maybe one of the most second charge move Pokemon in the game.
It's great.
If you want to get rid of your TMs, use either it or Mew.
That or catch a bunch of really good ones like I do. I have
Steven has a flavor of the week Hypno.
I have a lot of Hypno. I have a lot of really good Hypno, and it's pretty cool. Ask me about my Hypnos. I gotta be like, ask me about my Hypnos.
Please don't do that. I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
Not as consistent a performer, but as of late has been amazing. Frostlass. Frostlass has performed as the female-only evolution of Snorunt. It is a Ghost Ice. It has Powdered Snow. It has Avalanche. It has Shadow Ball. If you don't know what any of that means, just realize it means it's real good.
It's one that you would consider a spammer.
It's whack.
Powdered Snow quickly builds up energy, much like Mud Shot. And then Avalanche and Shadow Ball both hit very hard.
It's whack. If you don't have shields and you match up against a Frostlass, be afraid. Be very afraid.
Yeah, because that could be the difference between half your HP bar, or the whole bar.
The whole bar. I don't want half. I want the What's the line from Transformers? It's like, do you want a piece of me? Do you want a piece of me? No, I want the whole thing. And then tears him in half. Defense form Deoxys. The rest of the forms of Deoxys are
butt cheeks.
Bad, exactly. Our butt cheeks. Defense form Deoxys is the exact opposite of that. It is very good.
It is thick Deoxys.
It is thick Deoxys. This form of Deoxys is thicker than a bowl of oatmeal.
And is coming at you with counter.
It has counter. It also has, Psycho Cut or something? Or no, Confusion. It has Confusion. And then it has weird coverage moves like Rock Slide and Thunder, which are weird. Generally, like with Confusion, it's hard to get to those moves, but with the amount of bulk it has and with counter, it gets there. So, Did I get the moves wrong?
It's Zen Headbutt.
Zen Headbutt? It doesn't have Confusion?
No.
I thought it had Confusion.
No.
Weird.
So I thought, I was like, I don't think it has Confusion.
Okay. Well, then it definitely can't get to Thunder or Rock Slide with Zen Headbutt. Zen Headbutt is the pinnacle of butt cheeks when it comes to a psychic type fast move. Someday. What a glorious forehead on Defense Deoxys anyway. Zen Headbutt would be the head of all headbutts. The problem with Defense Form Deoxys is it's a legendary, or technically a mythical.
Yep.
Which means it can't be traded. Well, not all mythicals are created equal. Some mythicals you can trade, huh?
Looks at Melmetal.
Looks at Melmetal. Melmetal is a mythical that can be traded. Defense Deoxys is a mythical that can't be traded. It can't be traded. It's legendary, which means it's usually exclusive into 5-star raids. It's incredibly difficult to get to. You better hope you're doing a raid where it's not weather boosted, because then it's going to be over Great League. And it's really uncommon.
It does take a squad to take out.
Yes, it's bulky both in PvP and within raids. So
try to get the casuals to help you on that one.
Yeah. I don't expect a ton of people to have it, and it's also a somewhat divisive point within the PvP. I wouldn't say little angsty. It's a little angsty within angsty of a topic within the PvP community, just because
of its limited availability.
Because of its limited availability. So it did just come back just before GoFest for like a week and a half.
I don't know if you plan to talk about this later or not, and stop me if you do, but it's one of those situations where, in the case where we ask do IVs matter, with raids and research rewards, there is an IV minimum.
Yes, that is correct. So we'll go into this as quick as possible. It's actually not in our second half.
Okay.
At least not currently. It's not in our notes for the second half.
Something we probably should have mentioned a little bit earlier, but this is a good spot to mention.
It's a little bit more complicated. So in different scenarios, Pokemon have there's a floor and a ceiling to your individual values of a Pokemon. When caught in the wild with no modifiers, that floor is 0s and the ceiling is 15s, which means in any one of its stats, it can have either all 0s or all 15s or any combination in between those. The complicated thing is when it comes to eggs and raids, the floor for its individual values then becomes 10, and its ceilings are 15, which means that the lowest individual values it can get for all three, each of the three stats, is 10. So the lowest IV combination you can get for a Pokemon out of eggs and raids is 10, 10, 10. Now the highest you can get is 15, 15, 15, and that generally shrinks your odds of getting the hundo or a 98% for something like raids or Master League.
Yeah.
But that also limits the availability of
Great and Ultra
research as well. Research is also similar in the exact same category as eggs and raids, where 10s are the minimum stats. So Pokemon that are locked behind raids, eggs, and research, unless you trade and get really lucky, or unlucky in some cases, you're not going to be able to get a very good ideal IV spread. So
there are ways around that, and we've mentioned it in prior episodes. Check those out if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
But again, do IVs matter? To an extent, that's one of the arguments with Defense Deoxys, in the sense that it's incredibly hard to get lower than 10 in its stats because it is a featured raid Pokemon.
It's actually impossible to get under 10.
True, because you can't trade it.
Yeah. Although, wasn't there like an hour or so where you could trade it?
I'm not going to get into that.
Okay.
It's never going to happen again.
So there'll be weird instances if you're looking at resources where the rank 1 Defense Deoxys is a 0, 15, 15. That's not technically possible. Your rank 1 is technically 10, 15, 14, I think. Yeah. So, yeah, you're sort of what you're aiming for changes depending on the Pokemon and the scenarios in which you get the Pokemon.
Weather bonuses also apply to IVs.
Weather weather boosted actually isn't IVs, it's base level.
True, you're right.
Yeah, so weather boosted Pokemon don't have a change in their IV floor and ceiling. Their minimum level is increased. So another weird thing to keep in mind, sometimes your weather boosted Pokemon are going to be less likely to be ideal for PvP because they're going to be over the maximum level for Great League. The other sort of benefit is if you're above level 40 and you're getting XL candy, and actually this is in the next slide. If you're looking for XL candy, weather boosted Pokemon, since they're a higher level, have a higher chance of giving you XL candy and more XL candy. So
one thing to point out is on the next slide is when you talk about XL, do you mention that it's level gated?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Nope. Click the button. All right. The cost of PvP. I believe this is the end of
Part 1.
Part 1. Teams of 6 can get expensive, so how do you budget? Research. Hypothetical math. Just like if you're spending money on a car, on groceries, budget. You power-ups, second moves, evolutions all cost candy of that particular Pokemon's species, as well as Stardust. The benefit is there are calculators out there that will help you calculate the total amount. And actually, there's, I think within the game, you can go through the power-up. Even if you don't have all of the resources you need, you can power up a Pokemon to where it needs to be for Great League, Ultra League, Master League, and see the amount of resources you need for each particular instance.
Yeah, there was a time before that where we had to manually put that in ourselves.
Mm-hmm. So, budget. Point number 1 on this page, second charge move is usually required. That's, I think at this point, unfortunately, the reality of PvP.
Yeah.
Most Pokemon have a move that either allows for what we call shield baiting. We'll talk about that in the next episode. It allows for more flexibility within just the rules of the game. In other cases, Pokemon have a second move that is a different type than what either that Pokemon is or a different type of move compared to its first charge move, which allows for what we call coverage. So when it comes to coverage, there are Pokemon that are very good at it. Actually, a point that we brought up earlier, Toxicroak. Toxicroak has great coverage because its fast move is of one type and its 2 charge moves are of 2 different types.
One of them respectively sharing the same type as it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. The one thing to keep in mind here, the second move cost for each Pokemon is different. And that's actually stringent upon, I believe, the
buddy distance.
So the distance you have to walk with that Pokemon as your buddy to get a candy of that Pokemon species.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you don't want to put it as your buddy, you can just look at the second move cost on that species of Pokemon. It's displayed always there. Don't hit the button and confirm it because then that does use those resources. Don't accidentally do that. Although I think most of us have done that on accident at least once in our PvP careers. So no shame. It happens. It happens.
One thing to note about that second move unlock is you're not guaranteed to get the move you want.
Yes.
It randomly picks a move from their available pool.
Mm-hmm. It is a quality of life pain point. The one thing with the elite TMs is that you get to pick exactly what move you want, and you can even pick a move that cannot be taught to a Pokemon with a standard TM.
Correct.
So
that's where legacy moves come in.
Yes. The other thing to keep in mind when budgeting is what we call baby discount or the purified discount. So purified Pokemon have a bit of a discount when it comes to powering up and the second charge move. So do babies. Babies actually have a significant decrease in the cost of the second move.
One example would be Tyrogue. Tyrogue has a split evolution line of Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, or Hitmontop. That one specifically is tied to its stats. If it's high in HP, it'll turn into Hitmontop. If it's high in defense, it'll turn to Hitmonchan. If it's high in attack IVs, it'll turn into Hitmonlee. If you unlock the second move as its baby, it is only 10,000 Stardust, whereas if you evolve it, it's 75,000.
That's the same boat with Riolu and Lucario.
Yep.
And
a few other things too.
Huge resource saving opportunity.
Yeah.
So, especially because you can't just catch a Lucario currently.
Correct.
You have to hatch the Riolu first. Then you can.
But that also, again, ties into what we mentioned a few minutes earlier about how it's from an egg. So its IVs are going to have that ceiling/floor that you have to work with. But for the cost, that's one of those things where you have to establish the cost of PvP. Is it worth this rank 1 Hitmonchan to spend 75,000 Stardust or use this rank 300 Tyrogue that'll turn into a Hitmonchan for the reduced cost?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Some options require XL candies. XL candies are hot topic. XL candies were implemented into the game January.
I would say last year.
So within the last year or so. XL candies are the resource that is required to level a Pokemon up beyond level 40, which was the previous level cap. The thing to know with XL candies is you cannot get XL candies. You get XL candies just like any other method via catch, via hatch, via transfer of a particular Pokemon. They are tied to that particular Pokemon species or evolution line. XL candies cannot be acquired except by trainers that are level 40 and above. Mm-hmm. If you are level 39 and below, you cannot get XL candies. This is not me being spiteful. This is the mechanics of the game. XL candies are built to be what would be considered a end game resource.
Yep.
Basically saying, okay, you've hit the core gameplay progression. Here's additional grind for players that want to get past and do extraneous stuff.
And unfortunately for PvP, XLs are a key factor.
In some instances, XLs are required. Some options require XL candies. There's other we'll point out resources when we need to, as far as the cost of XLs, the transition of regular candy to XL candy. Who knows that, conversion might change. Currently, it sucks. It's plain and simple sucks. The instances in which you get XL candies are uncommon.
Few and far between.
Yeah, the amount of XL candies you need are usually ridiculous.
I mean, the one nice thing about the XL candy cost, if you are going to level 50 on something, it is the same for every species.
Yes. The XL candy cost from level 40 to level 50 is what,
296.
296. A lot.
And that's consistent through every species.
Now, the one thing is, not every species needs to get above level 40 to be relevant within Great or even Ultra League.
Correct.
The other thing to keep in mind is some Pokemon do require some XL candy, but not a ton. In the case of something like Cast Form, which is incredibly relevant in each of its typing, Cast Form requires maybe 10 XL candy.
I think it's level 42, 44.
Yeah. The benefit is, in the case of Cast Form, and even things like Azumarill, you can take into consideration that IVs don't matter per se, and use something that has a higher attack and thus will reach that CP requirement you're looking for at a lower level.
Right, and still perform.
So Azumarill, ideally these days, your rank 1 Azumarill I think is like a 115-14 or something like that.
Okay.
So it's at very low attack, very high HP and stamina, HP and defense, with a fairly high XL candy requirement.
I want to say it's 46 or 48.
It's okay, so it's not as high as it is. Okay, versus something like Medicham where you would want it to be
50.
level 50. If you have somewhere around 5 to 7 attack stat with a 15-15 in defense and HP, that Pokemon only needs to be around level 39.
Yeah.
For Azumarill. Cast form, if you have a couple of points in attack with near maxed out HP and defense, another instance where you can get by with a 38-39 level cast form, still performs very well, doesn't require those XL candies. So,
and something else we'll kind of reference not only in probably the next episode, but also as a resource. There are tools out there that tell you if I have a 5-15-15 rainy cast form, I can go plug that data in somewhere and it'll tell me out of all available options how well graded this one is. And I'm guessing on just a guess for 5-15-15 cast form, I'm looking at of all the combinations of IVs possible below probably 200 or 300. So top 200 to 300 ranking of all combinations. Now, it's not necessarily the rank 1, which is not the ideal stats, but I generally consider anything within 500 to be a good, solid performer out of all combinations of IVs.
I aim for like my initial stuff to be sub 200 rank, and then as far as power up, the ideal ones that I would love for is usually sub 50 is what I aim for. So I have basically this sort of like alternating bullseye of I'd love the rank 1. I aim more for the within the rank 50. Beyond that, maybe 120, and then 200 is basically where I narrow out. But realistically, anything's good if it's powered up and double moved. And as we said before, research, calculate, budget. One resource that is uber fantastic that comes out for just about every major meta, within Silph specifically. Great League, I think he does stuff for some of the GBL individual metas as well. JRE Seawolf's Nifty or Thrifty articles are fantastic. Breakdown of Pokemon that are thrifty as far as less expensive overall resource, and nifty that have good use case, good win scenarios, interesting move combos for each given meta. So I believe, yep, that puts us at our intermission. Not for tonight, but for episodes. We have completed part 1 of, I would say, our 2-part intro to Pokemon Go PvP. That was a lot of content. Jesse, you are done for the night. You look spent.
I'm just tired.
Yeah. It's been a long week for you, I imagine. That was also, I don't know, maybe a little dry. If you guys have feedback for the next episode, do feel free to give it. If there's points that you want clarification, let us know. Contact us at battle_science on Twitter. Email us at battlescience.podcast@gmail.com. Get over on the Discord that is linked down below. If you don't like this format because you're used to our normal podcasts, you will get a regularly scheduled Battle Science podcast in 2 weeks with, I imagine, all of the content you could ever want. Hopefully, because we'll have probably Silph announcements. We'll have Go Battle League announcements. We'll have Season 3, the third 3-month season for Pokemon Go. We'll have a lot of stuff to talk about.
That, we are 8 days as of this recording away from hearing back from #HeroesNiantic.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to hear from our task force that have been meeting with Niantic and sharing the community's thoughts and feelings. I'm excited to hear that. I almost want to do a live react.
They'll probably just shadow drop it like at 8 o'clock in the morning on August 31st or September 1st. Who knows? I'd love for it to just be a big middle finger. And the next season, the more you interact with stops, the larger the radius will be. And it's like, cool, this game is dead. Who knows?
Stay tuned.
We'll just have to wait and see. So next week, probably, we will have the second half of the intro to PvP. The things we will cover next episode are the battle format, more in depth on fast and charge moves. So good moves, bad moves, what makes a good move, what makes a bad move. Some more details on charge moves, because we didn't talk a whole lot about charge moves. Resource management between the 2 shields you're given, your 60-second swap timer, and the energy that you gain from fast moves, as well as the Silph Arena's staple best of 3 battles format. So you won game one. So you won game 1. Now what? Along with additional resources and such for next week's 101. Before we wrap up here, we do have, since this is technically a regularly scheduled Battle Sense podcast, the community question. Last episode we asked, or I asked, are the community questions worth it? We don't get a whole lot of responses usually. Sometimes we go memey, sometimes we go more serious. We got, I mean, for a community question, an overwhelmingly positive response of keep doing it. So,
we're going to keep doing it.
Let's see. Some of the requests were sort of alternating between a reasonable question and a hot and spicy sort of meme question, which then devolved into, is a hot dog a sandwich, which is a great topic. It's a little late to continue that, but I would argue a hot dog with the bun is torn in half, it is a sandwich. Someone was arguing Pop-Tarts were sandwiches, Jamar says. Pop-Tarts are more like big sweet ravioli. Technically, Euros and tacos. Having had my first Euro within the last 2 weeks, wow, it was tasty. And 2, it's very similar to a taco in format. So there's conversation there.
This is content that you get only by joining the Battle Science Discord.
Yeah, like, yeah, a Euro is just a Greek taco. And I'm sure people have brought that up before. I'm not the first one to chart these waters. But
on the community question note, for this episode,
we are not going to stop. I have a community question for the listeners of the Battle Science podcast. Having listened to Jiggly Dad's stream last night that primarily focused on the Silph Arena factions, I learned a couple of really cool things about the factions. The fact that it some of the meta breakdowns, the fact that Wing Attack, which is a factions team, a pretty highly ranked factions team that is basically mostly made up out of like battle science listeners, to my knowledge.
Okay.
It's like Pacific Northwest crew and then Winston, I think.
Okay.
So it's like Seattleite. I think there might be a Portlander and Winston who's in like I'm gonna get your
You're
area
gonna get all
wrong.
flack.
I'm gonna get your area wrong. I think it's like the Virginia area. I think.
Go to your friends list. Open a gift.
I will give you my address so that you can snail mail me a slap in the face. Actually, you're right. Let me check the gifts. The one time
Because you're
the
the
gifts,
one person that doesn't open them.
Yes. We go Winston. He has sent me a gift recently, and it is, in fact, Virginia. Nailed it.
So does that mean you get to snail mail him a smack?
No. Why would I snail mail him maybe a snack?
Jeez.
Here's a fruit snack in an envelope.
Pokemon fruit snack.
Pokemon fruit snack. This is my gift to you. Not a Pokemon Go gift, but a fruit snack. One, did you know Wing Attack apparently has their own intro song thing?
Yeah, I've heard it.
What?
You sent it to me, didn't you?
No.
No, it was one of the players in the group sent it to me.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Apparently they also do YouTube videos of their battles and stuff, which I also didn't know. That's amazing.
Yep.
So I wanted to know I probably hear from the members of Wing Attack, but then also from the rest of the Battle Science listeners. Do you guys want to hear more stuff on the Silph Arena Factions? It's this thing that like Jesse and I don't participate in, but has been gaining some more traction. It's in its first season. So it has its own metas that are different than the standard Silph Arena metas. So would you guys want to hear more about that? Would you guys want to hear about those metas? Do you guys want to hear from people from the factions? Maybe at some point we'll do a bonus episode if the crew from Wing Attack want to come on and just, I don't know, round table, shoot the snot about factions and stuff. I'd love to hear some more stuff about it because I don't
hear some experiences and whatnot.
Yeah, I know very little. So, do you want to hear more about factions? That's my community question. So, also go listen to Jiggly Dad. His stream from last night is up on YouTube. He talked with PvP Steve, the Aussie, who does a lot of the meta simplified with MS Paint, which he has said he will continue to do MS Paint. Nothing will make him transition over to Photoshop, which is great. There's just a charm with MS Paint that you just can't get anywhere else. And then with, I believe his handle was Styx, who also does faction. He's part of his own faction team, and I think is doing content creation as well with the factions format. And then PvP Steve does, I think, some of the streaming with Silph for the factions format. So,
in the last 30 seconds, you said 7 times.
You counted it? That doesn't surprise me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just started listening intently and paying attention as like, he's still doing it.
I am. Have I shown you?
No, but
Here.
we should probably wrap up first.
No, real quick.
I'm concerned.
Here, and if I go here, no, where is it? I know.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking t-shirts. Probably a mug too. What do you think?
I'll do a mug.
Do a mug? Okay.
I'd do a mug.
Breakfast with Battle Science with some mugs.
I'd put that on my table desk at work, and people would be like, "What's that about?" And I'll be like, "Let me tell you."
Suffice it to say, I know I keep teasing merch, and people are like, "Oh yeah, merch." It's gonna happen. I just have to click a couple more buttons, basically, and not be as busy. It's not hard.
I like that one.
Yeah. I said if we were going to do merch, this was going to be one of them.
Yeah.
So, have I shown you some of the other stuff?
No. Are you showing this on stream?
No. There's this one. The fourth most listened to video game podcast in Hong Kong in November of 2020, according to statistics, Battle Science.
That's a lot.
Hey, man, they'll print it on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
I'll have it be put on a T-shirt.
What number was that? The fourth most listened to?
Fourth most listened to video game podcast in Hong Kong in November of 2020, according to statistics. We got an email from one of those your podcast is trending in Hong Kong in this category, this category, this category, this category. Now, of course, these days they probably don't call it Hong Kong. It's now part of China because it's been annexed or whatever. That whole situation is, it sucks.
Okay.
But that's a whole other topic for a time where both of us are, less tired and also not talking about Pokemon Go.
Yes.
But as of November 2020, in the month of November 2020, according to statistics, the Battle Science podcast was the fourth most listened to video game podcast in all of Hong Kong.
That's pretty impressive.
I don't think it's accurate, but that's why there's an asterisk that says it's according to statistics. So, if you wanted to come after me for it, you could, but I've got an email that says otherwise. So I have to click some buttons. There I go again. T-shirts, mugs, stickers. There's a couple of other options, but I don't really want to go absolutely ham as far as
we want you
merch
to buy
options.
our first stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's a cool opportunity to do some merch stuff. So.
Yeah. Also, promote Extra Life.
Yes, the Battle Science 2021 Extra Life campaign for Seattle Children's Hospital. We are raising money for Seattle Children's Hospital. Go help those sick and injured big, beautiful kids. You can go to, I believe, the link in the description to go donate to Extra Life. We are getting, I think our goal is 898, close to 900, because that is the national Pokédex as according to the end of Sword and Shield. Does that count the new? That doesn't count the new forms from Legends Arceus. I'm not updating our goal unless we surpass our goal.
That won't be out. Well, that won't be out till January, so it won't matter.
Right, it won't matter. So then our goal for next year will actually just be incrementally higher, just slightly higher. Go donate the extralife.org link in the description. The other thing you can do is go over until September begins. Go over to our YouTube page, subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the more individual dollars I will have to donate to Extra Life. Make me broke. I dare you. If we're looking to get 100 subscribers so that we can get the youtube.com/battlescience link, because currently our link is some gobbledygook of code, so that it's youtube.com/channel/whatever.
We're trying to get the vanity URL.
The vanity URL. Thank you. If we get to 100 subscribers, we get that vanity URL. We are currently at 50, which means I have to donate $15. Every subscriber we get, I donate $1. And that is until we reach September 1st. So go subscribe to the Battle Science YouTube page and make me go broke. I dare you. I guess that should really be the campaign title.
Make me go broke, I dare you.
Make me go broke, I dare you.
Hashtag break Steven.
So far, $15 is not going to put a dent in my income, so you're going to have to try harder.
And it's all for good cause.
Yes, please and thank you. I'm making you make me donate money to those big, beautiful kids. So please and thank you. This has been an episode of the Battle Science Podcast, a Pokemon Go PvP podcast where we talk about Pokemon Go PvP, and all the things that surround it. Thank you for joining us. We will be back next week asterisk, probably at about Thursday, for the second half of the preseason primer. The week after, for all the news you could possibly hope for Pokemon Go updates. And I got nothing else for you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will catch you out there on the battlefield. Whoosh.